This is why you should never buy old video games at garage sales, ever. You never know what kind of history or dark secrets might be lurking within those seemingly innocent cartridges. In a small town, gamer Ethan stumbled upon an old copy of The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask at a garage sale. It was a sunny Saturday morning, and Ethan was out looking for hidden treasures among the various knickknacks and old items people were selling. He had always been a fan of retro games, and the possibility of finding a rare gem excited him. The label simply read Ben in faded handwriting. It was peculiar and immediately caught Ethan's attention. The name Ben was written in a childlike scrawl, and the cartridge itself looked worn and well used, as if it had been played countless times over the years. Intrigued, Ethan bought it and rushed home. He couldn't wait to see if the game still worked and what kind of adventures awaited him within. The anticipation was almost palpable as he inserted the cartridge into his old Nintendo 64 console. But from the start, the game was off. The title screen flickered and glitched, and the familiar music of Majora's Mask sounded distorted and eerie. It was as if the game itself was trying to warn him of the horrors that lay ahead. Distorted graphics, unsettling sounds, and a boy in a green tunic who whispered eerie phrases. The character, Link, seemed to move on his own at times, and the whispers grew louder and more insistent the further Ethan progressed in the game. The deeper Ethan went, the more sinister it became. The game world twisted and changed, becoming darker and more foreboding. Ethan felt a growing sense of dread, but he couldn't tear himself away from the screen. He had to know what was happening. The game spoke of a boy named Ben who had drowned, and the curse that followed. The in-game text described a tragic story of a young boy who had met a terrible fate, and now his spirit was trapped within the game, seeking revenge on anyone who dared to play it. Strange things began happening in Ethan's life. Objects in his room would move on their own, and he would hear strange noises when he was alone. It was as if the game was bleeding into reality, and the line between the digital world and the real world was becoming increasingly blurred. Objects shifting, a chilling presence always behind him. Ethan felt like he was being watched, and he couldn't shake the feeling that something was lurking just out of sight, waiting for the right moment to strike. Obsessed, Ethan researched and found others with similar experiences. He discovered online forums and communities where people shared their own encounters with haunted video games. The stories were eerily similar, and they all pointed to the same conclusion. The spirit of Ben was real, and it was trapped in the cartridge. The spirit of Ben trapped in the cartridge, seeking revenge. The more Ethan learned, the more he realized that he was dealing with something far beyond his understanding. The ghostly figure of Ben seemed to haunt his every waking moment, and the game itself became a conduit for the boy's anger and sorrow. One night, the game transformed. The screen went black, and when it came back on, Ethan found himself in a twisted, nightmarish version of the game world. The familiar landscapes of Majora's Mask were now flooded and distorted, filled with eerie, otherworldly creatures. Ethan found himself in a flooded, nightmarish world. The water was dark and murky, and strange, ghostly figures moved beneath the surface. The whispers grew louder, guiding him deeper into the heart of the nightmare. Guided by whispers, he delved into Ben's tragic fate. The game seemed to be leading him to a final confrontation, and Ethan knew that he had to see it through to the end, no matter the cost. At the final confrontation, Ben's twisted, sorrowful face appeared. The boy's spirit was filled with pain and anger, and Ethan could feel the weight of his sorrow pressing down on him. It was a moment of intense emotion, and Ethan realized that he was not just playing a game anymore. Ethan realized he wasn't just playing a game anymore. He was interacting with a tormented spirit, a boy who had been wronged and was now seeking justice in the only way he knew how. He was interacting with a tormented spirit. The game had become a medium for Ben's anguish, and Ethan was now a part of the story, a participant in the boy's quest for revenge. In a frantic panic, Ethan shattered the cartridge, but the whispers never stopped. He hoped that destroying the game would free him from the curse, but it was too late. The spirit of Ben had already taken hold, and the whispers continued to haunt him. Even after disposing of the game, Ben's presence lingered. Ethan could feel the boy's spirit watching him, a constant reminder of the tragedy that had unfolded. The whispers were a constant companion, a haunting echo of the past. From that day on, Ethan avoided nostalgic games. The experience had left him scarred, and he couldn't bring himself to play any of the old games he once loved. The memories of Ben's tragic fate were too painful, and he didn't want to risk encountering another haunted cartridge. But late at night, he still hears the faint whispers of a boy named Ben, forever trapped in a digital purgatory. The whispers are a reminder of the darkness that can lurk within the most innocent of places, and the tragic fate of a boy who was lost to the digital world. Ethan knows that he will never be truly free from the curse, and the memory of Ben will haunt him for the rest of his days.